Anthropic and OpenAI just offered the US government access to their AI for $1. Not $1 billion, not $1 million, $1. Why? Because they're not playing for quick cash, they're playing for control. Once AI is embedded in government systems, it's almost impossible to rip it out. That's how they win influence, policy, and long-term power. This clip comes from a conversation I had on the Tech Bite podcast. And if you want to hear the full episode, the link is in the description.
So check this out. Anthropic and OpenAI offer AI to US government for $1. Wow. Not $1 billion, just $1. Okay. Interesting. So what's this all about? Anthropic and OpenAI are competing to embed their AI tools within the US federal government by offering their enterprise AI platforms, Claude and ChatGPT, respectively, to all three branches of the government for a nominal fee of $1 per agency for 1 year. This initiative aligns with President Trump's AI action plan to accelerate AI adoption across federal agencies and improve efficiency in government workflows. Anthropic's deal, facilitated by the GSA, extends access beyond the executive branch to include Congress and the judiciary, with technical support and FedRAMP high certification. The strategic aim is to position their technologies as foundational in government operations and influence future AI policy and regulation. Here, before I get your thoughts on this, let me give mine. So that, to me, I saw that and I was like, whoa, wait a second. That's wild. So they're offering to sell it for $1 because any contract has to have a monetary value. Why would they go so low? Like, that's literally the least amount of money you could ever have a contract for. It was $1. So what's the incentive there? They know that it's not about the upfront sale. It's not about like, hey, government, buy from us for $100 million or $250 million or whatever, or $1 billion or whatever. They're like, it's like a cell phone contract. It's like, we'll give you the phone for free because we know the subscription, you're embedded with us now forever. That's kind of how I saw that. So, but that's terrifying because just like that last sentence, there's a long-term play to influence AI policy and regulations and funding and other contracts and things like that. I mean, are we headed towards a technocratic oligarchy in this world right now? Like, what are your thoughts on that story?
I think you're right. It's a market share play, right? Because governments typically move pretty slowly on systems change once a system is embedded, right? It's like those kind of decisions don't get made very often to change. What is the US government is still running mostly on COBOL, right? I think this was the big issue with what the issue with Doge was, and like them pulling out those the records of false social security payments and stuff. And it's like, why is this all in COBOL? It's such an old technology. Because so the government doesn't need to be cutting edge. It needs to just work. And once it works, you just leave it alone because like you don't want to be the government official in charge of that going wrong. So you kick the can down the road and you don't make a change. I think Anthropic have been very smart there and said, well, if we get in, we're very, very sticky. And at some point, we'll turn the screws on and make them so reliant on what we do, we can basically charge what we want at that point thereafter. It's a good game to be in, right? What a sticky customer. You always got to pay your taxes, so the government's always going to have money. I think this is an interesting trend. The UK is going through a similar process at the minute where AI is being embedded into our government services at many different levels. I think there is definitely social issues around this, like impartiality of a decision made by an AI. Do you have the right to appeal? How do we deal with some of those cases? I'm sure court cases, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure court cases will come out about this in time. But I think every Western government around the world has a fundamental issue, which is population. Their population has been under replacement rate for many, many decades. So we have aging populations, tax receipts are going down, we have unbelievable amounts of debt. So most of our taxation is going on servicing the interest on that debt. And our services and ministries and government departments are incredibly inefficient. And if you can make a promise like, here's the magic bullet, You don't need to worry about your aging population because we'll have robots in the care homes that will look after them all. You don't need to worry about having less tax because we can make your government departments run autonomously. You don't need to have these overly bloated departments with thousands upon thousands of employees anymore. I think, again, I would just say I'm all in on AI's transformational capabilities. I think it will disrupt everything that we do in this world. I don't think this is going to be easy, though. And I can't imagine a more difficult organization to change than the government. It's like there's so much inertia in that system. There's so much old technology and paper-based accounting in that system. I think I read a really interesting article about you guys in America have a minefield with all the retirement records of all your government employees. It's like, okay, how's the AI going to get access to this database? It's paper and it's in a mine. Okay, this is a hard technology for AI to work with. So, I love experimentation and innovation in government services. I think we should be much more forward thinking with how government services are delivered. But I think there are some fundamental questions to be asked about the technology, the impartiality of it, the fairness of it, and balancing those kind of societal needs as well as just, the technical needs. There's a very interesting thing about Anthropic. I saw a great chart around, I think Jason Lemkin of SASTA, who we probably should have talked about today with his vibe coding disaster of deleting 4,000 customer records irrecoverably with his vibe coding.
I think I did hear about that. Yeah.
Crazy. He had a great chart that he was talking through about the revenue growth rate between OpenAI and Anthropic. And Anthropic are catching OpenAI up, even though they have way less users. They are actually catching OpenAI up in revenue very, very quickly. And it's because Anthropic is focused maniacally on the enterprise use case of what they are doing. So this government play fits in completely with what Anthropic is doing. And I think we look at OpenAI as the leader in this space. With the release of GPT-5 not being as incredible as we were thinking, who wins in this space? I think Anthropic is one to watch. I love using Claude. We use it extensively. It's not as much of a one horse race as maybe we sometimes think it is.
And I think that's probably also because I think ChatGPT was the first to market. Like that's the one that when it blew up fast. It was like the fastest app I think ever to like 100 million users or at the time or something like that. And that I think that's probably they're probably still riding the coattails of that from even like 4 or 5 years ago, I think, when it came out. And I think that's like, what does that say for people like you and me? Like in your niche, in even if you're building something small, like super small, like going back from the government plays down to like you and me, being first to market, being that first quality product in someone's mind, I think that like that's a super powerful win. Like even if your product isn't, like you said, like even if someone eventually catches you, you have a window of time to make change and to make money and to make an impact with that by being first to market. And maybe ChatGPT was, OpenAI was able to do that by being that first one. And I don't know, that's my theory at least, but
it definitely has massive advantages. I think, but there's also advantages to being a fast follower. Jeff Bezos absolutely loves the fast follower playbook, and he has done that to great success. And I think the interesting for me thing in the world of AI is it's so hard to build a moat on this technology. Like if you're building products like us with, and we're choosing a service provider, basically they're selling us tokens, right? OpenAI and Anthropic fundamentally sell tokens. That is their unit of economics. That's what you subscribe to. That's what you pay for on the API calls. It is so easy to switch with one line of code between OpenAI and Anthropic or Gemini or DeepSeek and change that model to experiment with new capabilities. Like I am not loyal to any one of those companies. When we build a new AI product, I experiment with them all, and they have different quirks and flavors and personalities, let's say. So I think this is going to be a hard market to be an an all-encompassing, domineering piece of technology, because you can switch between them, jump in and out so quickly. And if they tighten the grip too much on the market to start monetizing it, people just flow to where the value is. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. If you want to hear the full Tech Bite episode, the link is in the description below. And if this topic grabbed your attention, you'll probably enjoy this next video too. Check it out right here.